revealed how an incredible single dad's 3 words transformed a paralyzed girl's life forever. Jake's heart raced as he watched the bustling crowd at the local fundraiser. It was meant to be a night of fun and laughter, but all he felt was the weight of an invisible storm. He stole a glance at Lily, his spirited 10-year-old daughter, sitting in her wheelchair, a vibrant smile cut through the gloom. But inside, Jake was unraveling. How could he protect her from the whispers, the glances, all those unspoken judgments that marked them as different? Just weeks after a tragic accident had taken away Lily's ability to walk, the once vibrant streets of their town felt suffocating, echoing the hard truths of economic struggles. Jake was a determined single dad, juggling late-night shifts at the diner and early mornings at the auto shop, each dollar a reminder of their creeping bills and uncertain future. They were a family, navigating through shadows in a world that didn't always shine bright for them. But tonight, something shifted. Amid the laughter, he heard his daughter's voice rise above the noise, her excitement bubbling out as she shared her dreams of running again. "I want to feel the wind on my face, Dad." Sparks ignited in her eyes as she passionately conveyed her desire to reclaim her independence. Those 3 words formed in Jake's mind, a lifeboat thrown into turbulent waters. He leaned down, whispering, "You are enough." It was like a dam breaking within him. At that moment, the world around them faded. All that mattered was the connection they shared. Adam's apple bobbing, tears pricking at the corners of his eyes. Jake vowed to help her chase that dream, to nurture the spark that flickered in her heart. Night after night, they trained at the local park, laughter mixing with the determination they both felt. With every push down the sidewalk, they faced the town's judgment, the distant stares that seemed to weigh heavier with each step. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the town prepared for an annual assembly honoring people with disabilities, Jake felt a mix of excitement and dread bubbling inside him. Would this be their chance to show how far they had come, or a painful reminder of the barriers they still faced? Mia, the bakery owner who previously offered him pitying looks, was now a force at the event. He felt her judgment. Did she think Levi was deserving of a place among the honored? Jake clenched his fists at the thought, anger and hope swirling inside his chest. What would it take for this town to see Lily's spirit, her determination? He watched her get ready to face that crowd, her determination shining like a beacon in the dark, and for the first time, he felt the stirrings of something unsettling but profound. Could they truly change minds? As she wheeled toward the stage, he took a deep breath. Would they fight together against the tide of misunderstanding? Or would this moment extinguish all the light he saw in her eyes? The uncertainty loomed large, waiting to challenge the very essence of who they were as a family. The applause filled the air, a cacophony of support that made Jake feel both buoyed and anxious. As Lily approached the stage, her wheels gliding effortlessly over uneven ground, the crowd's energy shifted. Curious eyes turned toward her, some expectant, others skeptical. But it didn't matter. She was there, and she was glowing. "Can you hear them, Dad?" she asked, her voice bright, almost melodic. "They're cheering for me." He nodded, trying to swallow back the lump in his throat. His little girl was fearless, and that filled him with pride. She'd fought so hard to wear that smile, to live beyond the accident that had changed everything. But could she reflect her spirit back to the world with all these watching eyes? Lily reached the podium, and he could see her small hands gripping the edges. Her leg trembled ever so slightly, but a fire blazed in her gaze. The microphone picked up the soft crackle as she leaned closer. "Thank you for being here today," she began, her voice steady, despite the simmering nervousness. "I want to share something important with you all." Jake held his breath. This was a moment he had prepared her for, yet nothing could diminish the anxiety churning in his stomach. "I can't run yet," she continued, the word hanging heavy in the air. "But that doesn't mean I stopped dreaming." The crowd fell silent, their breaths collectively suspended. Jake noted a softening among some faces, a glimpse into empathy as they connected with her words. I want everyone to know that we can all overcome our obstacles. My dad says I'm enough. And I believe you are, too. Her voice rang out, genuine and unyielding. This isn't just about what we can't do, it's about everything we can. A wave of warmth washed over Jake. He felt as though the entire assembly was pooling together around his daughter, buoyed by her unyielding spirit. Yes, his girl had a gift, and it was becoming vibrant for everyone to see. But as the words spread through the crowd, he sensed a ripple of uncertainty return. Not all pairs of eyes twinkled with understanding. Some remained skeptical. Would they walk away with their hearts touched? Or would they cling to their judgments, unyielding as ever? Suddenly, Mia stood up, clutching her purse. Jake felt his heart drop. What would she say? They all turned as her voice cut through the quiet. I admire your courage, Lily. You are a remarkable girl. The warmth of her compliment ignited whispers of approval around the room. Could this be the moment of transformation they had been yearning for? Thank you. Lily beamed, a mixture of surprise and joy flashing across her face. Then, with the energy of a rocket, she added, together, we can push for better things, a future that welcomes everyone. Jake's heart soared alongside her words, hope swirling in the air. Would Lily's spirit really inspire change in their community? Just then, he noticed a figure standing by the door, an unfamiliar man with a camera snapping pictures. What was he doing there? Jake's pulse quickened. If they didn't know, if they capitalized on this moment. Lily was still speaking, but Jake couldn't take his eyes off the man. This could be either a breakthrough or an intrusion. Was their vulnerability being shared with the public for likes? What had he gotten them into? And in that moment, the stir of possibilities washed over Jake once again. Could one photo change everything? Or would it risk Lily's dream? His heart tumbled with uncertainty. What awaited them in the future? The moment of truth had arrived, and it felt like everything hinged on the actions to come. Lily's voice wrapped around the crowd like a warm blanket, igniting flickers of hope in hearts that had grown cold to the struggle of the remarkable girl before them. Jake felt a swell of emotion as her words cascaded over the audience, but his attention kept circling back to the man by the door. Who was he? What did he want with their moment? The applause had started to swell again, a tidal wave of admiration that rose alongside Lily's confidence. People were standing, clapping, nodding in agreement. But Jake's stomach churned. He couldn't shake the feeling of eyes scanning and dissecting them. Was this man merely a bystander? Or was he hunting for something more salacious? Lily's expression was radiant as she concluded her speech. Let us be the change. Together, we can make the world brighter and kinder. With that, she raised her arms, and the audience followed suit, cheering and chanting her name. Her joy was unmatched as she soaked in the energy. In that moment, under the bright lights, she was a beacon, a symbol of resilience. But as they embraced that triumph, Jake's heart felt heavy. The man shifted, snapping more pictures, his lens focused solely on Lily. Jake could see the flashes reflecting off the walls, a stark reminder that this victory could easily be twisted into something unrecognizable. It wasn't just about how Lily had spoken. It was about how her story would be told. As the crowd began to disperse, mingling and discussing Lily's triumph, Jake stepped forward discreetly, an instinctive urge to protect what was sacred rising in him. He approached the man, who seemed oblivious to the encroaching shadows of Jake's anxiety. He cleared his throat, finding his voice amidst the chaos. Excuse me, what is your business here? The man turned, surprise flickering in his eyes. Just capturing a moment, sir. This girl is inspiring. I'm a journalist. I write pieces about personal stories. Her story deserves to be shared with the world. Jake inhaled sharply. So what? You plan to turn this into some kind of sensational headline? He could feel a fire igniting behind his words, anger pooling in his gut. This isn't just content. This is my daughter's life you're dealing with. The man's expression softened. I respect that. I truly do. But maybe people need to hear stories like hers. It could inspire countless others. Jake's heart raced. He looked back at Lily, her laughter ringing like music from the gathering crowd. It's not just about inspiration, he said, his voice low. It's about her humanity. It's about safety and respect. But even as he tried to maintain his composure, doubt began to gnaw at him. Would he truly be able to protect her? What if her story went viral for all the wrong reasons? Wasn't he that the risk they already faced by being vulnerable? Just then, Mia approached, her eyes scanning the journalist suspiciously. Jake, is everything okay? Yeah, just he started, but the words stumbled in his throat. He gestured toward the camera. This guy wants to share Lily's story. Mia's brow furrowed. Is that really the right idea? For her? Jake noticed the small frown that formed on Lily's face as she caught sight of the camera. She looked confused, and his heart sank. They had just crossed a threshold, one that carried immense weight. We need to make a decision here, Jake said softly to Mia, urgency thickening the air. What if this spirals? What if people don't see her for who she truly is? In that moment, that very moment, Jake realized he was teetering on the edge of a cliff, one wrong step away from losing everything they fought for. Would they take a leap of faith or turn back? And just as the weight of indecision clung to him, a voice rang out from the crowd, addressing Lily directly, a question that sent tremors through Jake's chest. Are you okay with this, Lily? Do you want your story out there? His heart raced. Would she be able to handle the pressure? What would she choose? Lily stood frozen for a heartbeat, her wide eyes searching the crowd, looking for something she might have overlooked. Jake felt the world slow down, the noise of the crowd fading into a distant echo as the weight of the question hung around them. Everyone seemed to hold their breath, anticipating her answer. It was as if time stopped. Jake's mind raced with possibilities. Could she even understand the full implications of her choice? Would she feel pressure to please, or could she remain true to herself? His worries flipped like a coin, each side representing a fear, vulnerability, or exploitation. Lily finally spoke, her small voice rising above the murmur. I want to share my story. Her response felt like a slap. The crowd erupted into a cheering frenzy, drinking in her affirmation. Jake's heart sank deeper. Did she grasp how this moment could ripple far beyond the room? The gleam in her eyes, a mixture of excitement and determination, pulled on his heartstrings. But he knew the reality of what lay ahead. Mia lay a hand on Jake's arm, grounding him but unable to veil her trepidation. Are you sure she understands what that means? Her brows knitted together. Lily, emboldened by the moment, looked back at her dad. I want people to see that I'm okay, that we can all be okay. The weight of her resolve hit Jake like a wave. She had such faith in humanity, such trust in the goodness of the world surrounding her. But Jake felt the pit in his stomach swirl, sweat gathering on the brow of his concern. What if it isn't okay? What if someone twists your words? What if they turn you into a spectacle? The world needs to hear stories like mine, Dad, she said, a fire igniting in her eyes. I want them to know they're not alone. Jake lost himself in her gaze for a moment, and he couldn't remember the last time he felt so proud and terrified all at once. Could he ever truly shield her from the harshness of the world? He was no longer sure. The journalist took a step closer, lowering the camera slightly. Lily, would you mind sharing a little about your journey? This is a safe space, and I want to respect your voice. She hesitated, glancing back at Jake. It was a fleeting look, one that framed doubt within her growing certainty. You don't have to respond to him now, Lily, Jake finally said, softening his tone, pulling her back into his protective embrace. If you want to share, just know you can take your time. There's no rush. I know, she replied, her tone steady, yet uncertain. But I want to. I want to make a difference. Jake exhaled, fighting the rising tide of emotions that threatened to drown him. He wrestled with whether to support her boldness or protect her from it. Could she really withstand the scrutiny, the judgments that could come from speaking up? Would this opportunity bring her light, or would shadows follow her every word? As the crowd buzzed around them, celebrating Lily's decision, Jake just wanted her to feel safe, to feel joy. But could he make it happen? Just then, the journalist raised his camera, ready to capture a defining moment, while Jake's heart pounded like a drum. Look, Dad, I'm ready, Lily said, a smile breaking fully across her face. And there she was, luminous. But, despite her confidence, an icy grip coiled around Jake's heart. Was he protecting her, or merely holding her back? You got this, Lily, someone shouted, the cheer of encouragement washing over them like sunlight. But the light felt cold to Jake. He stood there almost helpless, feeling the weight of the next few minutes, moments that could shape their lives in ways he could hardly fathom. As Lily turned her attention to the journalist, Jake wondered, was he about to lose her to a world that may not understand her fight? Just then, another voice broke through, with a different tone, shouting from the back, "What does it feel like to be so broken?" The room fell silent. Jake's heart dropped. Who had asked that? What damage could such a question cause? Would they really be ready for what lay ahead? Lily's body tensed at the unwanted question, and for a fleeting moment, her sparkle dimmed. The crowd shifted uneasily. Jake could feel the chill creeping in, as heavy as a storm cloud gathering in the distance. Who had the audacity to throw such a heart-wrenching inquiry into the air? "Hey, that's not fair." Mia's voice cut through the tension, and Jake felt a flicker of gratitude for her protective spirit. But he couldn't shake the fear that encased him. Would those words linger in Lily's mind, sabotaging her moment? The journalist turned toward the voice and frowned, perhaps realizing the weight of his own question. "No one has to answer that." But Lily interrupted. "It's okay," she said, her voice steadier now, like a flame finding its fuel. "I know what it's like to feel broken." Jake's heart lurched. "No, not this." He stepped forward instinctively, but she held up a hand. "I want to talk about it." The crowd was silent again, intensely waiting for her next words. The earlier cheers morphed into an expectant stillness. Taking a deep breath, Lily began, "When I look in the mirror, sometimes I don't see the girl I used to be. I see a girl in a wheelchair who has lost so much her voice trembled, but didn't falter. At first, I thought I would never be happy again. I thought my story was over." Jake could only stand still, battling the pang in his chest. He felt as if he were watching a ship set sail, knowing it may encounter storms, but he also knew it was necessary for Lily to explore, to find her own way. But then, she continued, her confidence building, "I realized I could still live. I could still fight. It wasn't about being whole. It was about embracing who I am now and sharing that person with the world." The crowd leaned in, their faces reflecting recognition and resonance. They were hanging on her every word, caught in the emotional web she spun with threads of vulnerability and triumph. Being broken isn't the end. It's just part of the journey, right? She looked out into the sea of strangers, her look searching for connection. "Exactly," someone shouted, and a small ripple of applause began, slowly building until the room erupted into enthusiastic clapping and shouting. Each clap echoed like a heartbeat of acceptance. But Jake felt a pang in his chest. It was real, like his fears were being laid bare right alongside her. He wanted to pull her back to safety, yet her words were so undeniably powerful, so full of a light, he feared the shadows would swallow. The journalist, taken aback and inspired, stepped forward again. "Lily, can you tell us what makes you feel not broken?" She paused, eyes sparkling with revelations that seemed to burst forth like a wildfire. "Love makes me whole. My dad's love, my friends seeing how we can lift each other up. It helps heal the broken." Jake's throat tightened. Her gaze shifted to him, the unspoken bond clearer than ever. It was a love that allowed her to shine even when shadows loomed. The crowd exploded with cheers once more, but Jake could only hear the sound of his breath. As they celebrated Lily's courage, he was still wrestling with a whirlwind of emotions. What if this moment opened doors he couldn't close? What if they all didn't understand in the end? Before he could spiral further into his thoughts, Lily's voice rang out again, confident and certain. "I want everyone here to remember they're not alone. You can tell your stories, too. Let us show the world our strength." Tears filled Jake's eyes, pride mingled with fear. This was the girl he had raised, now pouring her heart out to people who he feared might not understand. Suddenly, one last voice cut in from the back. "But what if nobody believes you?" The question hung heavy in the air, and once more, the weight of the moment felt crushing as Jake glanced at Lily. Would she falter under that doubt, or rise to meet it head-on? Eyes wide, she turned her resolve toward the crowd, and Jake held his breath, wondering what her answer would bring forth, the strength she had or the fear that could creep in. Lily's gaze held steady, her expression catching every pair of eyes in the room. It was as if time had burrowed its way into a fleeting moment, stretching silence until it felt like a living entity itself. "What if nobody believes you?" she echoed quietly. The weight of the question lingered, clinging to the air like fog. But within her heart, a fire ignited. "Then I'll show them," she said firmly, her voice rising with power. "I will be the evidence." An electric wave surged through the crowd, the atmosphere thickening with conviction. Jake felt his heart flutter, hope intertwining with the looming uncertainty. Lily's resolve glowed like a beacon against the twilight of doubts. You see, we can validate our own stories. Every one of us has faced something that makes us feel invisible, unheard. But we must speak up, share our truths, and in doing so, we paint a picture that cannot be ignored. The crowd began to murmur, excitement and admiration bubbling to the surface. It was infectious. Jake caught someone whispering, "She gets it, she really gets it." A surge of applause burst forth, swelling like the tide. Yet Jake's gaze remained fixed on Lily, witnessing the profound transformation in her. Her vulnerabilities were no longer shackles. They were wings, lifting her higher than he could have imagined. What others believe about you doesn't define you. She reached out, her arm extending toward the audience. It's what you believe about yourself that matters. I spent so long in the shadows, hiding who I thought I had to be. But that girl was never me. She was just a version I thought would be accepted. Jake felt a flood of tears prick his eyes, emotions tumbling like waves crashing against a shore. Her words resonated deep within him, causing him to reflect on his own struggles with acceptance. The path he had walked beside her wasn't always clear, but in that moment, it was illuminated. "Yes, yes," Mia shouted from the front, causing a chant to start. "We believe you. We believe you." Lily's smile brightened, and it was contagious. The entire room echoed with voices, a chorus of unity. Jake's heart swelled with pride and love for the young woman, standing so fiercely before everyone. In that moment, she was not just revealing her own truth. She was giving others permission to embrace theirs. A ripple of empowerment pulsed through the audience, a reminder that no one needed to feel isolated in their pain. "Tell your truth," she urged. "Your stories matter, too. They can light up the darkness for someone else who feels lost." But just as Jake thought the storm of emotions was clearing, a man in the crowd shouted, "But it's scary. What if you get hurt again?" Lily's expression faltered briefly, caught off guard. The echo of doubt sliced through the rising tide of support, and for an instant, she looked human, vulnerable. But with that vulnerability came clarity. "Fear is part of the journey," she said, speaking slowly, thoughtfully. "It's okay to fear pain, but it's important to remember that love, real love, will always outweigh the fear. It will challenge us, push us, and ultimately lead us back to ourselves." The words hung in the air, filled with a weight that resonated with everyone. Jake felt each heartbeat around him, felt the pulse of bravery building against their collective fears. Lily turned back to the crowd, eyes flaring with determination. "I'm standing here, in front of you all, a testament that yes, I have been hurt, but I'm not backing down. I refuse to let my story end in sorrow. My story continues." Another cheer erupted, more robust and vibrant than ever. Jake could hardly contain his emotions. Would they ever truly understand the depths she had emerged from? Yet, as he stood there, lost in admiration, a flicker of dread clouded his mind. What awaited Lily beyond this moment of triumph? How would she handle the challenges still to come? The atmosphere thickened, charged with both exhilaration and unseen potential, leaving everyone buzzing with anticipation. Could she truly triumph over all doubts, both from within and outside? And as Jake's heart raced alongside the crowd's joyful roar, he couldn't shake the question circling his mind. What would happen when the initial applause faded and the real world stepped back in? The room vibrated with energy as applause reverberated around them. Yet, as the cheers took shape and began to ebb, Lily stood momentarily frozen, her smile faltering as reality settled back in. The weight of her words began to loom large, threatening to overshadow the joy she had ignited. Jake could see it, the flickering doubt in her eyes, the brief moment where uncertainty crept back like an unwelcome shadow. The exhilaration of being heard began to clash with the stark reality of the world outside those walls, the judgments and pain that could wait just beyond. "Lily," he whispered, stepping close enough for her to hear above the fading cheer, "you did it. You really spoke your truth." "I know," she replied, her voice small, almost delicate in the moment. But doubt lingered in her tone, a tremor hinting at the intensity of her nerves. "Does it feel like freedom?" he asked, wanting to bring her back to that powerful moment, where each word had been a step toward liberation. "It does," she said, biting her lip. "But What if it all falls apart? What if I can't keep this going? Jake placed a hand on her shoulder, squeezing gently to share strength. Look at them. They believe in you, Lily. You were amazing. You inspired them. But what if tomorrow I wake up and realize it was just a moment? What if I can't hold on to this fire? He could see her heart wrestle with those very thoughts. It was not just the fear of vulnerability, but the fear of what came next. What if they didn't believe her tomorrow? What if she felt visible today, but soon slipped back into the shadows of doubt? The crowd began to disperse, a gathering of friends that once felt electric suddenly filling the space with quiet conversations, every face lighting up with delight, but their energy was waning. Jake felt a pang in his chest, knowing Lily's fears weren't unfounded. What lay ahead would be a test, not just of her resilience, but of the bonds they were forging in this fight. Lily, you need to keep being you. You're not alone in this. We're all here. He gestured to the group, still buzzing around them. This is just the beginning. She met his gaze, a flicker of something in her eyes, perhaps flipping from fear to hope. You really think so? I know so, he affirmed, pushing back his own rising apprehensions. Just remember, it's okay to be scared. It's not about not being scared, it's about facing it anyway. For a moment, she considered his words, a small cloud of hope sparking in her gaze again. At that moment, Mia broke through the dissipating crowd, her arms wide, grinning ear to ear. Lily, you were epic. I've never felt so powerful listening to someone before. Lily chuckled softly, drawing her back into the spirit. Thanks, Mia. But, even in their conversation, Jake could see the ripple of fear linger beneath, like uninvited guests at a joyous party. What would tomorrow hold? What challenges awaited Lily as she walked back into the world of skeptics and shadows? As Jake looked around, he saw familiar faces of support, friends who believed in what Lily stood for. For every wave of fear crashing down on her, there was a stone of strength being built in its wake. But could they maintain that support when the applause faded? Would any of them stand steadfast as the reality of vulnerability returned? The night was growing darker, the light dimming outside as they finished their small conversations. Jake found himself turned toward Lily once more, heart racing, knowing that her journey was just beginning. What if you give it a try? Be brave enough to see what happens. You've already won tonight. Lily's eyes met his, uncertainty still dancing in their depths. The cheers outside the room grew faint, but a question hung in the air between them, waiting to be voiced. Could they navigate the realities of tomorrow together? Would their courage hold when the world turned back? With that question tethering them, the night was only just getting started. As the crowd continued to scatter, the remnants of their celebration lingered in the air like a bittersweet melody. Lily stood amidst the fading echoes, her thoughts spiraling in tandem with the outgoing tide of enthusiasm. Jake watched as she took a deep breath, her shoulders lifting slightly before they slumped again, weighed down by the uncertainty that crept in. Hey, he said gently, brushing aside his own nervousness. Why don't we step outside for a moment? Get some air? She hesitated but nodded, thankful for the escape from the dwindling party. As they stepped into the cool night, the world outside felt both expansive and isolating. The glow from the streetlights cast soft shadows, but they felt more real here than trapped inside those walls. I thought this would feel different, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper, floating just above the sounds of distant laughter echoing from the venue. I thought once I spoke my truth, everything would change. But here I am, and I'm not sure what comes next. Jake fell silent, aware of the weight of her words. Behind her vulnerability was a girl holding the pieces of herself close, afraid of the mockery they could bring. A thick silence enveloped them, both knowing that the coming days would be filled with scrutiny and whispers. What do you think? She finally asked, her eyes searching his, filled with a mix of challenge and despair. Will they still see me when the cheering stops? You're asking the wrong question, Jake replied, his voice steady. What matters is how you see yourself. That's where your strength comes from. For a moment, she looked at him, visibly processing his words. It was as if she were standing at a crossroads, weighing her options, one path leading to comfort and silence, the other to uncertainty and growth. He could see that she wanted to believe him. See, Jake continued, people are drawn to your passion, Lily. They want to hear more from you. You think it's that easy to open up? You're afraid, but you did it anyway. Lily let out a shaky breath, trying to assess. What if I fail? What if they decide it's not worth their time? Then we'll figure it out together, he said, his voice earnest. You inspire them, and it matters. But so does being honest about not having all the answers. She met his gaze, something shifting in her heart. But that feels so terrifying. Right? He agreed, leaning in closer. It is terrifying. But what if that fear means you're heading in the right direction? Look, the path isn't about having all the pieces figured out. It's about taking the first step, even when you're scared. Lily contemplated that and felt a flicker of something. She wanted to push past the edge of her comfort zone. The world often felt like a cage, but tonight, she had tasted a sliver of freedom. She exhaled, letting the cool air fill her lungs. Okay, she whispered, a renewed sense of determination shining through. But I need help. I can't do this alone. Of course, Jake assured her, hope infusing his own resolve. We've got your back. Mia, the others were all here, drawing strength from each other. It's a team effort. Lily smiled, touched by the power of unity. She thought of the friends surrounding her, their voices reverberating with encouragement. But even in that promising glow, a seed of doubt remained nestled in the depths of her mind. Was she ready to embrace the responsibility of being a voice for something larger than herself? As they turned to head back inside, a figure loomed at the entrance, half in shadow, half in light, like a question waiting to be answered. Lily's heart raced again. Was it someone from her past? Would they come to applaud or to judge? Lily, Jake whispered, sensing her tension spike. Who is that? In a moment of vulnerability, she realized that the night was just starting, and she might have to face more than she bargained for. Everything inside her whispered questions of fear and expectation as the figure stepped closer, revealing their face. What truth would they bring with them? And how would it challenge everything she thought she was ready for? Her heart pounded as the uncertainty closed in. What awaited her in this new chapter of visibility? Lily's breath caught in her throat as the figure stepped into the light, and her stomach twisted with a mixture of recognition and dread. It was Alex, the boy she once admired from afar, their lives intertwined in the chaos of high school. But now, standing in front of him in this pivotal moment, she felt exposed and vulnerable. Lily, he said, voice warm yet cautious, as if he knew the weight of her journey too well. I didn't know you'd be here tonight. The memories flooded back, and her heart raced. With his tousled hair and friendly smile, Alex had always been the kind of guy who made people feel at ease. But now, the ease she remembered felt distant. He wore a casual confidence that made her doubt her own. Yeah, I spoke up about some things, she managed, her voice trembling slightly. Jake shifted beside her, the blend of support and protective energy palpable. We were just discussing how important it is to be true to yourself, he said, with an open smile that seemed to invite Alex in. Is that so? Alex smiled back, but there was an intensity behind his eyes that made Lily feel like he was seeing through her, peeling back the layers she had so carefully hidden. It takes guts to stand up and share what's really going on. I admire that. Her heart fluttered at his words, a delicate balance of encouragement and fear weaving through her. Thanks, I guess, she replied, but her mind raced. What did he really think of her? The applause of the crowd earlier felt distant now, replaced by the uncertain gaze of someone so familiar. I saw your speech, he said, his tone earnest. What you said really struck a chord with me. I've been struggling with some of my own stuff, and it was refreshing to hear someone be so open about their experiences. Lily tilted her head slightly, intrigued but cautious. You have your own stuff? She felt drawn to him, a magnetic pull that ignited her curiosity. Yeah, it's been a rough few months for me, he admitted, eyes flickering away for just a moment before returning to meet hers. My dad lost his job, and everything feels complicated. Jake gave her a supportive nudge, encouraging her to keep the conversation going. What has helped you deal with it? She asked, instinctively wanting to connect with him in this shared vulnerability. He paused, contemplating the question. Honestly, talking about it. I used to think I had to keep it all in. But when I finally started sharing, it took a weight off my shoulders. I guess I tried to be strong for everyone else, but it's okay to not always be strong. His words hung in the air, resonating with Lily. That makes so much sense. It's like we think we have to carry everything ourselves, she replied softly. Exactly, he nodded, glancing at Jake. It seems like you both have this supportive network. Hold on to that. It really makes a difference. A moment of stillness enveloped them, the night air wrapping around their conversation like a protective shield. In this brief exchange, Lily felt her armor begin to crack. The fears that had once gripped her heart started to dissipate, replaced by a quiet strength blooming in its place. "Thanks for sharing that," she said, her voice steadying. "It's really powerful to hear." As the three stood together, breathing in the familiar yet foreign air of vulnerability, it felt as if a door was opening, revealing the potential for connection and growth. But just as the conversation deepened, the revelry from inside surged forward, the laughter and music a stark contrast to their raw honesty. It felt like a reminder of the world they were part of, a world both beautiful and terrifying. Lily's heart raced again. She realized she was standing at the edge of a deeper revelation, one that waited just beyond the night. What would happen if she leaned into this moment, embraced the questions swirling in her mind, and allowed herself to truly be seen? Would she reach out to Alex and uncover what lay beneath their shared experiences, or would fear pull her back into the shadows of doubt? Lily looked from Jake to Alex, the anticipation bubbling in her chest. She could feel the weight of a decision in the air, one that could change everything. What would that choice be, and would she seize it? Lily stood at the crossroads of uncertainty and courage, her heart racing. The disappointment of the past fought with the promise of something new. She glanced at Jake, who offered her an encouraging smile. His pride in her shone through, but his worry lingered just beneath the surface. Alex's presence felt both grounding and intimidating, like a reminder of the world that could be, but also of the shadows that lurked just outside. "Do you want to catch up?" Alex asked, the sincerity in his eyes inviting her to step closer. Would she really allow him inside? Let him see the parts of her that felt broken yet hopeful? Lily inhaled deeply, her mind racing with possibilities. "Yeah, I'd like that," she said, her voice steadying as determination unfurled within her. They moved a bit away from the fading crowd, the sounds of laughter and applause fading into the background as the three found a moment of quiet. Jake hung back slightly, allowing them space. "You really stunned everyone tonight," Alex said, breaks of admiration lacing his voice. "It's hard to share things like that. I know that personally." Lily felt her cheeks warm under his praise. "Thank you, but I think it takes a lot of courage to acknowledge our own struggles too." "It's refreshing," she admitted, a smile creeping onto her face as she encouraged him to feel what she felt, a shared vulnerability. "Honestly, it took me a while to figure out I didn't have to pretend to be brave all the time. I thought strength was never breaking down, but I finally realized it's okay to let it out," he said, his gaze unwavering. Jake shifted closer, eavesdropping with warmth, his heart swelling with admiration at the bond forming between them. He recognized this moment as more than just a connection between two young people. It was the beginning of understanding, of shared journeys that could inspire more than just themselves. "Exactly," Lily said passionately. "It's not about the wheelchair or feeling different. It's about recognizing our shared humanity and how we can uplift one another, right?" Alex nodded, his eyes brightening. "I completely agree. I think sometimes it just takes one person to share their story for others to feel safe enough to share theirs too." Lily's heart danced at the idea. Maybe the magic they had felt that night wasn't just for her. It was for everyone trapped behind their fears. "That's what I want to do. Share my story and create a space where people feel they belong," she said decisively. The moment of unity felt electrifying, a spark igniting within her. She was on the brink of something huge, a purpose beyond her own experience. "And I want to fight for others who may not see their own worth." Jake couldn't help but smile, feeling proud of the girl she was becoming. "And you're doing just that, honey," he chimed in, feeling the weight of encouragement in their shared warmth. Alex's smile deepened. "You know, I can help with that too," he offered shyly. "I've thought about starting a blog or even doing videos to talk openly about mental health and obstacles. If you're interested, I'd love to collaborate." Lily's eyes widened. "Really? That sounds incredible." The realization hit that she wouldn't have to undertake this journey alone. A team of supporters was growing, passionate about the mission they shared. "Definitely," Alex said, excitement bubbling between them. "We all have stories to tell, and together, they could have a real impact." At that moment, the doubts that had lingered in Lily's mind began to dissipate. She could see how one connection could weave into another, creating a tapestry rich with understanding and hope. Just remember, Jake added, stepping in again, when the cheering fades, you still have the strength inside. That's what really matters, the belief that comes from you, not others' applause. With each word, she felt that strength weaving around her like a protective cloak. You're right, Dad. I think I'm finally beginning to understand. It's more than just me sharing. It's about creating a safe space for others, too. From behind them, the party began to taper off, friends trickling out, yet the thrill of their shared decisions lingered in the air. As Lily looked at the small group around her, she understood this was not just an ending or a conclusion. It was the starting point of something transformative. I want to start sharing my journey, my victories and fears. Let us create something that allows everyone to feel accepted without judgment, she said, her voice strong, echoing with purpose. Lily turned back to face Alex. Let us do it. Let us show everyone that broken doesn't mean defeated. I'm with you, he agreed, a look of resolve crossing his face. We'll turn this into something beautiful. Jake watched them, a warmth blooming in his chest. The spark he had seen grow in Lily was now enveloping not only her, but Alex too. They stood poised on the edge of an adventure, a combination of courage, vulnerability, and strength, ready to face whatever lay ahead. As darkness crept in, the streetlights began to illuminate their faces, a soft glow surrounding them as whispers of excitement lingered. Each heartbeat resonated with the promise of tomorrow. Okay, let's get back inside and share the idea with the others, Lily said, her smile radiant. This is just the beginning of something special. With Jake and Alex by her side, she wheeled into the assembly, ready to embrace this new chapter of connection and strength. The air felt lighter, charged with hope, and for the first time in a long while, she truly felt like she could run. Now it was time for the world to see her as she really was. And with that, they stepped forward, a trio bound by understanding, ready to change the narrative and remind everyone that they were more than their struggles, they were just getting started. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this uplifting conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second to share this incredible transformation with at least 5 friends who need to witness this journey. Let us spread the hope.